Celtic. I hope you enjoy it. I'll try and keep it short and sweet and that kind of thing as well, and that kind of thing. But yeah, I know I always give these nice life stories, but my mum got 3 kittens, as I probably mentioned before, but I call her the crazy cat lady, but I'm probably turning into crazy cat bloke as well, but in my case. But one of them has got out of the house and just he won't come back for like half an hour, so that was a bit annoying. But he's a bit older than the other 2, and he always tries to attack them, so we have to keep them in separate rooms. But anyway, I don't know why, I just thought I'd give that nice life story. I often think like there's something I meant to say in the intros, but I forgot them. But anyway, I'm going to crack on with this from ideas or points number 21 to 30. Another thing I was going to say is I got a sub, an extra sub earlier on my YouTube channel, but unfortunately someone unsubscribed to me, so I hope I didn't offend them. I might have bored them, but I either bored them or offended them, I assume. So a bit disappointed about that, but I'm back to where I was before. But at the moment on YouTube I have 67 subs, so I'm hoping to get as many as I can. So I hope my fellow Celtic fans, Italian football fans, Celtic fans, my fellow dyslexics and mixed race people will subscribe, all being well, as many people as possible. Whoever wants to support a struggling YouTuber, especially for a new year, I welcome your subscriptions. But anyway, here goes. As I'll try and keep these short and sweet if I can. So here goes. So number 21. I would love for anyone, as I said before, like in part 1, anyone who already supports Celtic, I hope will continue to support Celtic, and I hope that people from an Irish background, given the club's Irish roots, will support Celtic. So as many people of Irish descent all around the world as possible will support Celtic. Maybe even those who are not even into football, and even those who with their Celtic blood or ancestry or of Celtic origin or from Celtic countries, as I mentioned before again, and possibly Gaelics as well. I think Celtic and Gaelic people have like a connection. Once again, I'd love for all possible people to support Celtic, although we do need an opposition. I suppose if the whole world supports Celtic, it would be a bit pointless, because obviously we have to have people to play against, but as many fans as possible pretty much would be pretty cool. Number 22, and in the future, hopefully the club can expand to new markets, and if it gets the best possible scouting system, and I'll mention this point in part 1 as well, and just learns basically as well to, I think it'd be cool if someone in the club could predict countries where football is going to explode, so to speak, in a positive way. Probably explode is not the best word, but it's going to take off, shall we say. So to look at like countries in South America, a place like that, I wonder why players from Brazil or Argentina don't seem to come to Celtic and do really well. I suppose a lot of those would probably go to Spain or Italy because of the weather, which, as a fan of Italian football, will make me happy in that case. So from my point of view, as someone who loves Mediterranean teams as well, thankfully Italian teams and Spanish teams have benefited from players from Latin America. But I think it'd be cool if the club Celtic could somehow attract those sorts of players, but also like countries in Asia, nations in Asia and Africa and all that kind of thing. It'd be cool if they were going to develop, or even Australia, if football, they probably call it soccer, will kick off, or even America, if more people get into it. They have quite a big population. They're very competitive. Maybe they could. Maybe Celtic could see opportunities where markets where people might not expect they're going to develop. Also, I was going to say it'd be quite cheeky if we could convert some of the Rangers fans, but again, we do need opposition as well. So I suppose it'd be boring if everyone was the same and if everyone was a Celtic fan. But I would love for the club to get so many fans all around the world, preferably over 1 billion. I think that'd be pretty cool. But in terms of the academies and players playing for the club, I think it should only be the best, and not just players just because we want to get fans from those countries. I think it should be those who are going to benefit the team and help the club to win more trophies, which is really what I want to see personally. Italian teams and Celtic winning as many trophies as possible, and hopefully working in partnership together. Again, I'd love for the club to also have supports clubs and academies in Italy itself as well, especially, which is probably one of the biggest countries I would love to see the club have supports clubs and academies in. Number 23, I think it'd be cool if the club worked with charities and NGOs, as it was set up as a charity and has its own foundation. I think it'd be cool if the club worked with, as I say, charities, NGOs, foundations, and whatnot. And hopefully that will again help the club to get more fans, and that kind of thing. They could work with those charities and NGOs to get funding, which could be used to help the club market itself with branding, marketing, and things like that, increase its PR even more, and also those academies. So the funding could be used to make football pitches, which hopefully could benefit people in those nations I mentioned before, like Malaysia, India, Indonesia, South Africa, Singapore, and all over Africa, Asia, Latin America, Australasia. Again, I think it'd be cool if the club could have great players, as well as supporters. I think it'd be cool if the club could have great players from all over the world in the future, like from Latin America, from places like Argentina and Brazil, which normally produce great players. I know the club's already got a few from Portugal, and hope we get many more. Spain, obviously Italy, I would say, and even like I say in the future, hopefully that Malaysia, India, Indonesia, South Africa, Singapore, and places like that, Kenya, Ghana, and places like that as well. And again, all over the world, hopefully they can produce great players. And if Celtic could have those academies and opportunities for people to practice, hopefully the club can benefit from players from those countries as well as benefiting those countries themselves. Number 24, I mentioned before as well about how I'd love for the club to work with maybe even the SNP, Plaid Cymru, or however we pronounce it, from Wales, and all sorts of Celtic and Gaelic political parties, as well as local and national politicians and councillors to get funding. And once they acquire that funding, hopefully also from investors, sponsors, and whatnot, hopefully that could be used again to buy better players and also to develop the academies and to market the club, which again will, like any investment, you put money in and hope to get more money out in the long term. So it could be, so any investment, I suppose, and any business, I suppose, puts money into something and then you initially lose money, but with the hope of making money in the long term. I talk about loss leading sort of thing. So they give footballs and kits and things that way. I think hopefully that will benefit the club in the longer term, even if it's at a loss initially. And talking about having partnerships with other countries like Saudi Arabia and places like that as well, who are trying to develop their football teams. So working with people, with politicians in those countries, and that kind of thing, like the countries I talked before about, nations in Asia and Africa and that kind of thing. Maybe the club can have deals with people with people and politicians in those nations and even businesses to help them to develop the game in their country and take coaches over there to places like, I say, like Malaysia, India, Indonesia, South Africa, Singapore, places like that. And hopefully it'll be a mutual benefit. Hopefully those nations will benefit, develop their football, and Celtic will get more investment and develop players and get supports from those countries as well. So again, I hope the club will get, just like Italian teams, I hope they'll get as much investment and funding as possible, sponsorship and things like that. And again, work with charities, NGOs, National Lottery, funding for good and stuff like that, developing football pitches. So I think the club could argue they're helping young people and disadvantaged people in many cases and things like that, including in Glasgow, and in return, hopefully the club will benefit, as I say, in the longer run. So hopefully it'll be a mutual benefit as well as for those young people and disadvantaged people and whatnot. It will also benefit the club, and it's an investment in the future, really. So even though they'll be initially investing, like if the SNP or local politicians, local and national politicians and whatnot, invest, even though they're investing money initially, hopefully in the longer run, it will be of mutual benefit, because it will mean, as I said before, like it will save the healthcare system a lot of money and cut crime, make people be more healthy and things like that, and bring people together, be a bridge to bring people together, so, and that kind of thing. So I hope build many seven-a-side pitches and things like that. At number 24, I think that probably wasn't number 24, sorry, but lost my count there. But I'd love for anti-imperialists to support the club as well, as its roots are like they escaped from the potato famine, but they were like colonized. Number 25, I'd love for Republicans, people who support republics, that is to people who prefer republics, to support Celtic. I still hope the club will get investment and sponsorship from monarchies, even like Saudi Arabia and places like that. But I'd love for people who support republics all around the world to support Celtic. Number 26, again, also anti-imperialist groups, countries that were colonized and things. Ideally, I'd love to see Celtic get reparations for like what happened in history to the Irish diaspora, and what they went through and things like that. And if the Irish diaspora got reparations, then it could go to football clubs like Celtic and Hibernian. And maybe Celtic and the Hibs could work together on that kind of thing. Maybe Celtic could have like Hibs as a second favourite team and vice versa. So hopefully we could have a partnership with other Irish clubs or clubs with Irish roots like the Hibs, and clubs in Ireland, and again Celtic countries and things like that. And on that note, even have like partnerships with clubs in different nations where those clubs already exist. So clubs in Ireland, and they could help each other train and practice and things like that. Number 27, also, as I hope the club will get a lot of rewards for the charitable work they do, and hopefully that will improve the PR of the club and things like that. 28, it'd be cool if some of the celebrity, I couldn't speak probably, celebrity supporters donated to the club and helped the club to have its so people like Rod Stewart could have their own academies and sports clubs if they don't already do so. People like Neil Lennon, who used to be the manager of the, he could improve his reputation and bring back the reputation that he lost when he was like manager, and things sort of fell apart. He could perhaps bring back that reputation by having his own supporters clubs and academies and things like that, which he helps to fund. So he could show that he really loves the club and put his money where his mouth is and help the club financially, because towards the end, in the infamous 10 in a row season where he didn't quite manage to win 10 in a row, he got a lot of the blame and the fans sort of turned against him. But I think he could bring the fans back on side if he did donate his own money towards the club and invest his own money and things like that. Number 29, I'd love for those who have things in common with me, such as say for Anglo-Indians and other mixed race people, Eurasians and mixed race people generally, and also people with learning disabilities or neurodiverse people, like people with dyslexia, ADHD and related conditions, to support Celtic. And number 30, as ever, I'd love to read your ideas and that kind of thing. And I'm going to stop waffling, and I'm out. Peace and love.